Wow, I can't believe it's already been a year since I last did this. Well, 2018 has finally come and gone. It's had plenty of good moments and plenty of bad moments, but who cares about the political or news bullshit? That's not what we're here to talk about today. It's time to get back into animated films, and in terms of what 2018 had to offer, there was slightly less movies than 2017, which makes it a lot easier for me to review these movies, but we also had plenty of sequels this year as well. Some good and some not so good. We also got a few surprising films that were actually pretty good, and a few that weren't so good. Which ones were they? Well, that's the whole point of this marathon. That's what I'm here to find out. To see which movies stand out, and which ones do not deserve to stand out. Just like last year, the rules still stand. If it's a theatrical movie, in any way, shape, or form, if it was released in a different country in theaters, then it counts as a theatrical animated film for me to talk about during this marathon. There may be a few movies you weren't expecting to see in this marathon, but they count as theatrical, so I'm going to be including them. So what are we waiting for? Let's do this. I'm Yoshi Player, and welcome back, folks, to the 2019 version of Animation Explosion. Kicking off the marathon is Aardman's latest film, at least until the next one, Aardman. Back when Aardman and DreamWorks used to be partners, they were both planning to make a caveman movie, but ever since then they split apart, and then they both made their own caveman movies. DreamWorks brought us The Croods, which was, at best, okay, and then Aardman brought us Aardman. It stars a group of cavemen who live together peacefully in a valley, just doing their usual thing, living together and being happy most of the time. But a governor takes over because he wants to start mining the area for bronze. So the leader, Doug, decides to make a deal with the governor that they should challenge each other to a football game between the Bronze Age and the Stone Age. If the Stone Age wins, their valley must be left alone, but if the Bronze Age wins, then the cavemen have to start mining for the governor. Considering this is a movie from Aardman, a studio that I'm very fond of, I think it's best that we start with the positives. The best thing about this movie, in my humble opinion, is the cavemen themselves. They're very happy, they're not rude to each other, they spend a lot of their time just working together and being, well, basically a happy family. The leader, Doug, is especially likable. He never thinks too little of himself or his tribe. He's a very inspiring character, hoping that him and his tribe can do way more than what they do. He never gives up, he never stops trying. He's a great character. We also get a female character who feels very unappreciated as a football player, and she starts to develop a bond with the cave people. When I first saw the trailer, I thought, oh great, it's gonna be another love interest, isn't it? But no, she's her own person, and I like that. Because of how likable and optimistic the cavemen are, I ended up cheering for them during the football game. They're just so likable and so charming. God, I love these guys. These are honestly a group of characters I just love to hang out with. Yeah, they're Neanderthals, but who gives a shit? They're amazing. So, what exactly is my problem with this movie? Well, I have a couple problems. For one thing, and I know this is going to sound a little shocking, but I didn't find this movie to be very funny. There's a messenger bird which is funny, especially the voice actor they got, but most of the jokes just don't work. That's because they try to rely on the traits of the characters, and it gets extremely repetitive. Sure, I like seeing these characters, but you don't need to copy the same gags for them over and over again. There's more to comedy than just how the characters act, guys. The villain in this movie is really pathetic. He's just too plain and is another villain who, get this, just wants money. And because of that, I end up finding him extremely annoying, because when that's a villain's only motivation, I see nothing more than just a bland villain. What also sucks is that he's trying way too hard to be funny, and when most of the jokes aren't hitting, it's extremely irritating. But I think the biggest issue I have with this movie is that if you've seen plenty of sports movies, particularly the football ones, this movie is full of cliches. I just wish Aardman could have tweaked them a little bit and fleshed them out. But no, it's the same cliches I've seen so many times in other sports movies, and it doesn't feel fresh or new to me. All that culminates into a movie that is just simply okay for me. I don't hate this movie, but I don't think it's as strong as Aardman's other work, like Curse of the Were-Rabbit or Arthur Christmas. It does have some good parts, there were some jokes that were funny, I do like most of the characters, and it is overall very charming. I'd also say that it has a really good message as well, that isn't forced down your throat. But I just don't think that's enough to hold up for a strong movie, because while there were a few jokes that were kind of funny, most of them fell flat on their face due to how repetitive they can be, the villain is pathetic, pathetic, and the sports cliches get really annoying, especially since there's no tweaking done to them. If you're looking for a movie that is just simple and stupid in some way, then maybe you'll like this movie, and to be fair, I'd much rather watch this than The Croods, because at least this one has a better message and better characters. But I don't think that's enough to make it a strong movie. Yeah, I wouldn't mind rewatching it sometimes, but as a whole, all this movie reminded me is that I'm much better off not watching sports.